How Avengers Infinity War's deaths could be permanent. Infinity War hit even harder than people expected this weekend, and we're not just talking about its insane box office performance, which beat out The Force Awakens for the title of biggest domestic opening of all time. No, we're talking the number of insane feels racked up in the film's final act. For maybe the first time ever, opening night audiences didn't greet the end of a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie with rapturous applause. I did. But with stunned silence. I did that too. I also laughed when all the kids cried. And if you still haven't seen Infinity War and don't want to know why people are leaving theaters so bummed, then feel free to phase yourself out of existence for a few minutes because we're about to get super spoilery. Can't emphasize that enough. Spoilers are coming. Emphasize spoilers. Yeah, like last time? Okay. So as you hopefully know by now, Infinity War ends with Thanos snapping his infinity blinged out fingers and willing half the universe's population out of existence, which includes quite a few of our favorite heroes. All told, 10 MCU characters disappear before the credits roll: Scarlet Witch, the Winter Soldier, Falcon, Black Panther, Spider-Man, Groot, Star-Lord, Mantis, Drax, and Doctor Strange, of which I cared none about except for Groot. And then 2 more go after the credits just for good measure: Maria Hill and Nick Fury. So the big question on everyone's mind right now is, can this possibly be real? Did Marvel really just give 10 beloved characters the boot for good? And the answer is pretty obviously no. Of course not. Are you guys kidding me? Between Spider-Man and the Guardians, over half of those characters already have confirmed sequels in the works. And even if it's not confirmed, there is no doubt a Black Panther follow-up is going to happen, considering it's the highest grossing Marvel movie to date. So yeah, in all likelihood, Avengers 4 is gonna follow the heroes left standing as they track down Thanos and then force him to reverse snap all their friends back into existence. But can we see a future where Marvel makes the insanely bold decision to never bring these characters back? Of which I would say, whoo! That would be amazing, and I hope they do it. Sure, it may be a 1 in a million shot, but it's possible, and if it's possible, what would the MCU look like after it? Well, since we know that Guardians 3 and Spider-Man Homecoming 2 are both on the way, those movies would need some new pinch hitters to step up to the plate. Luckily, there are already options for both. If you'll think back to last summer, you'll remember that in one of the 30 post-credit scenes in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, we're introduced to another team led by Sylvester Stallone as Starhawk. They could just take on Rocket to act as a bridge between the two groups, and all of a sudden, you have a brand new roster of Guardians ready to protect the galaxy. As for Spider-Man, fans have been clamoring for a while to see Miles Morales become the official Spidey of the MCU, and this would be the perfect chance to make that happen. The character even gets lightly teased in the first Homecoming, where a criminal named Aaron Davis, played by Donald Glover, mentions he has a nephew living in Queens. In the comics, Davis's nephew is Morales. But what about the other non-sequel confirmed characters? Now, we hate to say it, but some of them probably won't really need replacements. We can't imagine anyone getting too upset if Scarlet Witch never returns, but others will definitely need a sub, like Black Panther. Luckily, we didn't see his sister Shuri disappear, and since she was a fan favorite of that movie and she has taken up the Black Panther mantle in the comics, we can definitely see audiences being on board for making her the true star of the next one. Now, you can't pass along the mantle of Doctor Strange because that's literally that dude's name.
Oh, using your made-up names.
But the MCU could find a new Sorcerer Supreme, and we think there's a great choice waiting for them in the Sanctum Sanctorum, Wong. He's been practicing magic way longer than Strange, and he didn't get himself dragged halfway across the galaxy by Thanos' goons. Seems like it's time to give him a shot. Now, the final big hitch that needs to be solved, of course, is Cap. Yeah, we know that Steve Rogers is still around, but his 2 obvious successors aren't. So who's gonna take over when Chris Evans' contract expires in short order? Well, we're guessing it's gonna go to Hawkeye. I'm not thrilled about this. And not just because he's probably desperate for something to do after sitting the last adventure out. He's actually handled the shield in the comics before and been identified as the one hero with aim perfect enough to actually use it. But as we said, this is all the most what-if of what-if scenarios. We're guessing most of these characters will be back by this time next year, but don't be too disappointed if you're a big fan of permadeath. We're also pretty sure that everyone who died outside of Thanos' big purge, Gamora, although I have thoughts on that, Loki, Vision, I have thoughts on that, and Heimdall, are all dead for good, or at least until Marvel finds some other crazy reason to bring them back. But what do you folks think? Could anyone really be gone for good? Could you live in a universe without Spider-Man or Black Panther? And how did Nick Fury's super pager hold a charge for that long? Let's discuss. Be sure to like and subscribe and mash that little bell to get notified every time we drop a new video, like today when our favorite weirdo guy, Onyx the Fortuitous, gets haunted after he visits the Winchester Mansion. Check it out right now.